Okay, everyone, we are starting with our presentation, Hugs from the Earth. And our goal today is to bring some essential oils and also show where they come from and the lives that we're impacting. So I'm joined, my name is Lorri Lockyer, and I'm joined with Lachael Prouty. She's going to be presenting some of it also. So this first picture, just to kind of put out there, does anyone know what that is growing there? I'll give you a hint. They talked about it at convention.
Is it helichrysum?
It is helichrysum. Yay, yay, thank you, Catherine. Okay. So we're going to talk about co-impact sourcing along with some beautiful essential oils, but doTERRA started co-impact sourcing to really make a difference in the lives of farmers. So they really wanted to empower as many farmers as possible to make an impact all over the world. And so by working directly with small farmers, and here's a couple right here, a picture of, they're able to make such a big difference and be able to bring that purity and of the oils that we want. So we're going to talk a little today about, what's happening behind the bottles besides what these wonderful oils are doing for us. So they are generating a lot of jobs. We're talking over 100,000 jobs have been created just with the small farmers, and being able to pay them on time. So as soon as they're harvested, the farmers are paid, and it definitely builds a much better supply for us. So we know that no matter what happens, we have enough oils to last us for years on end, no matter what kind of weather impact comes. And again, it's about sustaining these long-term relationships. So the oils that doTERRA gets from the farmers, we have a 97%. What's that word I'm looking for? Where the farmers only sell to doTERRA. So
exclusive.
There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Exclusive. So if other companies say, oh, I have something as good as that, it's like it's not from our same farmers. And again, doTERRA works in over 47 countries, and really looking to find these oils either from their source or from a place that the climate is going to get the best, the best oil, the best purity. So the other thing that we also look at is, Catherine, I'm going to mute you here for a moment, just so you can move around without. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. So one of the things that doTERRA looked at, and I think this has made such a huge difference in countries, is really making sure that the people that are working, that they have these fair labor conditions. So that, I looked at the women in Somaliland that were grading the frankincense crystals were really not in a good environment and given lunch breaks, and so doTERRA just said, if we're going to buy frankincense from you, we need to have these fair labor conditions for everybody, for the farmers, for everyone involved. And then environmental stewardship is really making sure that it's sustainable. So we're working with the farmers to make sure they're planting at the best time, harvesting at the best times. And if it is a plant source that is harvested in a mountainous area, we want to make sure that we're always replanting or leaving some of that. So there's that sustainability going on. And then also making a difference in the communities. And we'll talk about that, about building schools and hospitals, digging wells, whatever it is that those, the different communities need. So our whole goal with sourcing the best and helping the most. And I love this picture of Madagascar. If you've never been to Madagascar, I can't wait to go there someday. But they have both the ocean on one side and fresh water. This is a little village here on the other side. So the ocean is a big part, but they're able to grow vetiver, cinnamon, clove, and mangerie. Or no, this is from mangerie. So this is a part of Madagascar, but huge difference in the economy that's come from that. But you can see over 1 million people have been affected from the co-impact sourcing. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at some specific oils. And I want to start out with lavender. I love lavender, using it not only for everything skin. So when you think of lavender, just think of anything skin, whether it's a burn, a bug bite, eczema, any kind of skin thing going on. Lavender is really great for that, as well as grounding and relaxing and reducing stress. And it's a very safe oil, so it can be used on pets and kids. So, but when we look at behind the bottle of lavender, doTERRA's been getting lavender from France, over 275 farmers in France for a long time. They started 12 years ago. And now they're able to get lavender from Bulgaria. So it was interesting just to know a little history that. Catherine, do you have a question or?
Yeah, I do, but I just wanted to say that the background sounds were not coming from me in the first place, and I'm continuing to hear little pulses. Anyway, my question is this. Is this an oil that you would recommend when technology has hijacked your brain?
Yes.
Just saying. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I guess it would help if I turned my phone off too.
Speaking of technology.
It's a whole symphony, man. What can I say?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to put this on, so maybe that is helpful also. Who knows if it's my dryer. But yes, lavender is really good when your brain is hijacked, and anything that has frankincense also, because frankincense gets right into the brain and calms it down. So what I learned from when doTERRA went into Bulgaria to talk to a lot of these farmers that had been growing herbs for years. And so in the post-communist, era, here, I'm going to try, hold on just a moment. I'm going to try just muting everyone for now, and then I'll, we'll be muted. Okay. Let's see if that helps. So what happened was the government was supporting farmers that grew sunflower, wheat, and corn. And so many of the Bulgarian farmers, they replaced their, lavender and melissa and some of these beautiful plants that they were growing for essential oils. They replaced them with these crops because the government was paying pretty much them to do that. So doTERRA came in to Bulgaria and started talking with the farmers. And one thing that was realized was they didn't have an up-to-date distillery near the area. And when you harvest lavender and melissa and some of those other ones, it's so important to get it to the distillery and have it distilled the same day. So it needs to happen right away. It can't sit around for a long time because then the quality of the lavender actually goes down. So doTERRA built a distillery right in this community near all of the farms, and it's all run by the Bulgarian people. So it created a lot of lives there. But it was interesting because lavender, I think of it, just growing all year, but it actually is an annual harvest. So for about 3 to 4 weeks in July, all of the lavender is harvested in Bulgaria. And so there's just, and they just work round the clock at the distillery, making sure that it all gets distilled. But so doTERRA was able to go and talk to the farmers about replacing their crops with lavender, and was able to guarantee them a price, which again, they didn't even have that guarantee price with their other crops. So they were able to be paid better. They have a guarantee price, and they're even paid bonuses if the therapeutic properties, which they're able to look at the distillery, they can do a mass spec and gas chromatography right there after it's done, and they're even paid premiums if their lavender is even better quality than the high standard that doTERRA sets. So it has changed the landscape, the economic landscape in Bulgaria immensely. And then doTERRA Healing Hands came in, and they were able to support, that's our 501c at doTERRA, different projects. So this social tea house, which I love when I read about that. The social tea house is for children who lack, education or literacy, or have any personal or emotional development. And so they're able to provide these children between the ages of 14 and 18 with the skills and competencies they need to develop and have an independent lifestyle. So the tea house is actually a tea house. And on the first floor, orphan teens work as baristas who take orders and prepare and serve tea. And the second floor has been converted to a spacious meeting room where members of the mentorship program can hold meetings and group activities. So just really a great way of getting into the community and making a difference. And then they also have scholarship funds, and they have a mother's care club that is able to go in there. So I love the way that the Healing Hands Foundation is able to go into these communities and look at what is, what is helpful, what can really help these communities be stronger. So every time I use lavender, I'm in Bulgaria, and it's one of those places that I will go visit. So Lachael, go ahead,
I have a quick
Catherine.
question. So Bulgaria has also classically been the source for Rosa, I think it's Rosa Damasceno, which is the source of a lot of the rose oils. It's just really top notch. And I'm just wondering if the Bulgarian government, or whoever it is that was playing subsidy games, if they messed with that particular crop as well. I mean, you were saying that there was economic encouragement to plant, was it sunflower, and what else were the other two?
It was wheat, sunflower, and corn.
Yeah, corn. Anyway, it's just interesting to me. I don't think that the rose crop was disturbed, but it's interesting that in other instances, I mean, maybe it's all just pure economic driven. If the farmers can't afford to keep their land, then they're going to grow what's going to gain them the best price, and it's just simple that way. But anyway, yeah. And then one other thing, and that is there any lavender sourced from south of the equator?
I don't know. I pretty much know Provence, France.
Yeah.
Where is the big part of it, and it's because of the Mediterranean climate.
Yeah.
So it's a Mediterranean climate that really gives it the chemical constituents that we're looking for to have that therapeutic effect. So lavender can be grown almost anywhere, but we're not going to get that therapeutic properties except for in the Mediterranean. So that's why. But as doTERRA was growing, they needed to find more lavender.
Right.
And so they went to Bulgaria, which was wonderful to see that. Okay, I'm going to let Lachael talk about pink pepper.
Pink pepper, this is just happiness. I love pink pepper. I actually have it in my water right now. This oil, pink pepper, is really great for a nice soothing massage. And you can use it with fractionated coconut oil for that massage. You can diffuse it. It gives you feelings of alertness. It's also helpful to support the immune, digestive, and respiratory systems. And it also helps relax the nervous system. So that's really fun. I just want to tell you a little story about pink pepper and a woman named Veronica in Kenya. This woman had 4 children, and she was pregnant with her 5th child. And she lost her husband, who made the money in the family. So she was trying to figure out how she could feed her family. And she ended up making rope out of fibers from plants. And she would go into the shops in the village, and at first the shops would buy from her because they felt sorry for her and they wanted to help support her. But after a while they stopped buying. So she started going to the truckers that went through the town, and they didn't want to buy her rope. And she ended up, I knew this was going to happen. She ended up losing her dignity and self-respect just to provide for her kids. One of her friends was also in the same situation. She had lost her husband and she had children. They were trying to provide for their families. And they were sitting in front of the shops in the village one day trying to figure this out. What are they going to do? And they were approached by a man named Kigo, and he asked them, he said, "We have these wonderful pink peppercorn trees. We need to pick these peppercorns. Would you ladies be willing to work for us to do that?" And they both said yes. And that's how that started. And they just, the very next day they had so many peppercorns picked that they got paid the next day, and that's the way it started. But I love that story because we were able to go in and help these people that were just at their wits' end. And I want to bring this kind of full circle and talk about the emotions of pink pepper. Pink pepper is the oil of intrinsic equality. Yeah, so the positive properties are equal, compassionate, accepting of self, kind, and merciful. So this is another reason I love pink pepper so much.
Yes, it is. It's a great one. And also the thing that I loved also about this story is when Kiko found out that her kids weren't able to go to school because she didn't have the money, he gave both of them money right away in advance. So the kids could get back in school. But yeah, we actually got to meet Kiko and see pictures of these beautiful women when we were at convention last year.
And Lorri, isn't Kiko the one that had something wrong with his leg, and he could barely walk on it, and I think we saw him the following year, and doTERRA they provided him medical care, and he was able to walk. He walked with a limp still, but he was able to walk apparatus free.
Yeah.
So that's another great thing, another story, about doTERRA, that they go in and help people a lot.
Yes, all over the place. Yeah. So the last one I want to talk about today is tea tree. And again, doTERRA's been getting tea tree from Australia from when they first started. But again, this is a very, I spelled tea wrong. Should be TEA.
You're teeing off.
I'm teeing off. I'm like, anyways, that's just funny. See how fast I'm typing. But anyway, so because doTERRA was growing, they needed to find another source of tea tree, and they went to southern Kenya. And so they approached farmers like this family here who had 4 acres of land that they planted a variety of different crops, mostly food crops that they sold and would, but they were always, there was always that chance of the crops not selling or them not getting the price they need to really provide for their family. And so doTERRA came in and said, you know, we'll give you the seedlings for the tea tree plants. And so they decided to start with a third of their land. And then once again that they grew enough to be able to harvest them, they ended up making 4 times their other crops. And so now all of their land is tea tree. Well, at least I was consistent in spelling tea tree the same all the way through. And then now, because they're selling all tea tree, they're making a lot more money on their land. They've been able to make a lot of changes to their homes and everything. All of their neighbors, they've been talking to their neighbors, and their neighbors all want to grow tea tree also. So another great way that we've found a good place to be able to grow it, to be able to get the purity and those chemical constituents that doTERRA really demands from their oils, but so many people that were able to help in the meantime, and to be able to pay them as soon as it's harvested, they're paid. So I love the fact that we're just making a difference around the world. So that was the end of our hugs from the earth, which I do feel a big hug from traveling around to different places. And I think it would be fun to be able to, you know, bring a story to each of our classes, because there's lots of stories to be able to see. And there's actually a series, doTERRA has a series called Behind the Bottle on YouTube. So if you did a search for doTERRA Behind the Bottle, there's right now 20 different videos, and they're short videos. They're only like 4 minutes, but it's a great way to be able to see some of the differences and just amazing stories that are happening. So I didn't talk about tea tree. I just was so into the story. So tea tree is the oil of energetic boundaries. So emotionally, it's really good for kind of putting up an energetic boundary. So if you're going to be around people that are negative or fearful, which pretty much describes the grocery store, that's what I feel when I go in there. So I always put tea tree on my solar plexus to put up my energetic boundary, so I'm not getting anyone else's fearful or negative hooks in me. Also, it's really great for anything skin. So it's really good for, you know, similar to lavender. I tend to use it. It's also really good antifungal, antibacterial, just a wonderful oil to be able to use. And I have it out at the barn because I also put it in my horse's fly spray, and I put it into his spray that I put on his coat. So it also helps his coat and skin. Any other tea tree stories or testimonies of anyone else who uses it?
Lorri,
you guys, yeah.
Tiffany wanted to share something, but I think she needs to be unmuted.
Oh, okay. So let me see if I can unmute all. There we go. Everyone's unmuted.
Hi there. I just wanted to share something that was really an eye-opener for me when I was in Egypt. And I also read a beautiful book called The Boy Who Made Wind. But it's a shock for those of us here in the US, you know, a wealthy country, that people in other parts of the world have to pay for elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
and that even pens and paper are just incredibly precious. Like people don't even have pens and paper. So I was just really touched with Lachelle's story, and I just wanted to share that because it really touched my heart. That's a beautiful book, by the way, and it's also, I think, a movie on Netflix. But The Boy Who Made Wind is just a very touching story. A self-educated boy that taught himself engineering from a cast-out textbook, an out-of-date textbook, and taught himself how to create electricity for his family. Anyway, very, very amazing. Went on later to be funded for a college education, gave a TED Talk. But this is a beautiful thing. And this is, doTERRA, it's touching to me that they're empowering people in this way, because it keeps everyone trapped in this vicious cycle of poverty, where there's no way out. If you don't have education, you don't have choices. And if you don't have a way to make money. So that's just what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will definitely look that up. That sounds like a great movie to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Hey,
Well,
Lorri, where's Tea Tree? Was there another slide of people from Africa that was associated with Tea Tree?
Yeah, so in Kenya. So they went to southern Kenya. And there's lots of farmers now in southern Kenya that are growing tea tree.
And where was the pink pepper story from? Was that also Kenya?
That was also in Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also another one. They also found pink pepper near Guatemala. I have to find what country that is, but another
Honduras or Costa Rica.
Yeah. But yeah, so they found like this very small community that had been growing pink pepper for a really long time and just hadn't been paid well for it. So, third parties were coming in and just middleman buying it very cheap and then going off and selling it. And so when doTERRA came in and they tested their pink pepper and it was up to standard, and they offered to pay them what it's really worth, her eyes got like really big, and they couldn't believe that what they love and what they had been doing was actually worth that much money. And so just to be able to see that town really make a huge difference because of one of the growers for cardamom in a couple of villages over knew about this village and that they grew pink pepper and told doTERRA, and so they went and checked it out. So yeah, it is. It makes me smile.
And I just love thinking about every time I use an oil, thinking about the other side of the bottle and how much we as end users of the essential oils, we get the benefits, but so do they. And that makes my heart happy.
Yeah. I'm so in love with this Tulsi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That just is so heavenly.
I think Lachelle had mentioned the different, or maybe one of you had mentioned the different kind of notes in Tulsi. That's borrowing from the other industry. Anyway, didn't one of you mention that even cardamom was kind of a undertone in the Tulsi fragrance? I mean, anyway, the essential oil Tulsi.
Yeah. I have it in my
Thank you. Was that something?
Yeah, I want to say it was, they said cinnamon and mint and stuff like that, but let me see if I wrote it. So it said I have written down that it smells like cinnamon, clove, and licorice.
Okay.
But really great at supporting normal blood sugar levels, freshens your breath, gives you more patience, and it's an adaptogen, which means it helps you handle stress. So freshens your breath. So let's just see what it tastes like. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's yummy. Put that on my toothbrush.
if we're talking freshens the breath, we're past the label problem.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of gotten over it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I've served.
Here,
as a-
let me stop the recording here.
Okay.